Look at the ship, look at the ship, look at the ship of the nation!
We come to you here today from Enniskillen amidst high police security where the G8 summit is happening. There's presently possibly maybe 2,000 people here, which looks like quite a jovial, peaceful protest. Peter, I see you're dressed as a jester today. You're just trying to make a big joke of this G8 summit, are you?
Well, I think it is a bit of a sick joke anyway, like, you know, the whole thing. You got people there, they've got the planet in their hands between them, there's these this handful of people, and they're doing nothing to help the real problems of the whole planet, you know.
And what group are you with here today, or what specifically are you protesting against?
Well, I'm just protesting against the state of the fucking world, really. I'm here of my own volition. Well, I've come in with a group, the United Left Alliance, People Before Profit. I'm from Bundoran, just 26 counties, right?
Yeah. Well, fair play to you, Peter. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good man.
No way. They're awesome.
Sorry, hello there, Darren. I'm just wondering, what are you protesting here today?
My main thing is poverty. There's people in the world with nothing to eat. There's enough food to go around the world twice over and feed everybody, and yet there's some people on one end of the spectrum with surpluses of food and other people on the other end with nothing. It's unfair and it's not nice. It's your democratic right to protest, and I'm here to show that I care and I want the G8 to do something about it.
Do you think there's a good turnout here today?
To be honest with you, I'm not too sure. I thought there would have been more, but taking into consideration that Enniskillen's a very hard place to get to. It's also very expensive. I've travelled from Glasgow and it cost me nearly £600. All my friends are away to Ibiza and they've said to me, why can't you come to Ibiza? Because I chose to come here. So I don't blame them if they want to go and do something like that because of the price. Also, a lot of people are scared because they thought as soon as they step in here they were going to get to jail, which is completely isn't true, as we've been open with welcome arms with everybody, including the police officers.
And if you had something to say to the G8 leaders, what would you say to them?
I'd give them the Mark Twain quote: man's first duty is to his own conscience and honour.
Thank you very much, Darren. Good man, thank you. As I said, here we are in Fermanagh today with what is a big enough protest, and it involves Marxists, socialists, travellers' rights, anti-fracking campaigners, basically everybody with a gripe with these 8 leaders, and the G8 summit is here today and making their voice very well heard.
Who are you?
Just local ones from Donegal, just doing it ourselves.
No, Donegal, no problem.
No problem.
I'm Mary McCann.
Pleased to meet you, Mary.
Hello.
Mary, you're a local resident here. What do you think of the G8 coming to Fermanagh?
Well, I think anything that promotes Fermanagh is a great idea because it's a beautiful place, marvellous people. I've lived here 35 years, brilliant. But my main concern is very much world poverty and Syria. And if those two aren't addressed down the road today, I will be a very unhappy person.
If you had something to say to the leaders down there, what would you say to them?
I would say, please think of every man, woman and child in Syria. Please cooperate to put in place decisions that will consider their lives.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Well.
Thank you.
Woo-hoo! After to Obama.
We say frack off! We say frack off! We say frack off! They say frack here!
like some demented Paddy's Day parade on acid. We see the floats here coming out. First was anti-fracking, next is NIPSA, and then we have anti-bomb and war people then after that there.
The workers united will never be defeated. 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 No to war and occupation. Fight for jobs and education. No to war and occupation. Fight for jobs and education.
David Cameron, Florida. One Ireland, one vote. Support the 1916 societies. Damn your concessions, England. We want our country.
People got the power.
Enniskillen, are you willing?
Tell Obama stop your killing.
Enniskillen, are you willing?
Tell Obama stop the killing. Free streets. Our streets. Free streets. Our streets. Free streets. Our streets. Cuts. Job losses. Money for the bosses. We know what they're all about. Cuts. Job losses. And money for the bosses.
Stand in the band like a true Irishman and go to fight the forces of the crown.
So comrades, come rally, and the last fight let us face the internationality unites the human race. So comrades, come rally, and the last fight let us face the internationality unites the human race. Woo! Defeated. The workers united will never be defeated.
America says no to fracking. Germany says no fracking. England says no fracking. Come and join us, people. Don't stand there. Join in. Join in. This is a celebration of life, and down with the policies of the oppressors of the world. Down with the G8. They're not welcome here in Fermanagh. It's an absolute joke to protect people, the strongest leaders in the world, to do what? Make deals for big businesses. We don't want your dirty pocket.
Hello, Paul. We're standing outside the Pretoria School, is it?
Pretoria Royal School, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were saying that these gates have never before been locked up.
Not to this extent and chained as far as I'm aware. I heard a historian talking on the radio the other day, and it was him that mentioned the gates being closed, and never before has that been seen.
Right. And Oscar Wilde went to the school?
Oscar Wilde, yeah, amongst one or two others, went to Pretoria, which we're all very proud of, as such. And
how do you feel about the G8 coming to Enniskillen?
Well, I'm hoping that it's a tourist-orientated economy we have, and I think it'll hopefully move it forward. I would like them to nail the world poverty once and for all.
I think they're all mature enough and wise enough to be able to organise something sustainable for the future.
And if you had something to say to the G8 leaders, what would you say?
Just what I've said there. Get the job done. Talk, but walk the walk. Now this time.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Okay.
Cheers, good man.
People of Fermanagh are out today supporting the anti-fracking campaign, saying to the G8, get out, we don't like your policies, we don't like them, we don't like your warmongers, we don't like your economic policies, we don't like your fracking policies. G8 are not welcome here. G8, go on, join in, kids. Peaceful protest. Join in with us. Come along to tell the most powerful people in the world that they're not welcome.
The G8 summit in Fermanagh. A lot of protesters. We've just been informed of the real reason for the G8 summit here in Fermanagh. That's right, spuds. This is as far as we're going here. Say about another 15 minutes we'll have the protest here.
Yeah, I know.
Centred by the world's press here.
Yeah, I'm there. You got a good job. Tony's been walking.
Yeah, no,
I've seen Errol as well.
And here we see the spring-summer collection for the discerning activist.
Friends of the Earth, James Orr.
Hello everybody. Brilliant to see such happy faces and beautiful sunshine and a peaceful protest, so give each other a round of applause. What I want to say is that this planet does not belong to the G8, it belongs to all of us. The G8 does not represent democracy, it represents corporatocracy, and I can't believe I pronounced that word. People have created these noxious systems and people can take these noxious systems down. So let us build an economy that serves people and the planet. And I hope we all forge new relationships today. I hope we see the common cause between us all. Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. Thank you so much.
I thought we had a serious media. I thought we had serious journalists. But clearly we don't. Because they didn't for 1 minute over the last few weeks question the ridiculous claims and hype and hysteria that was portrayed to justify this unbelievable deployment of security and police and military. I have to ask the media this time to question what they're at and where they get their information from. That they couldn't see through what was clearly a black propaganda campaign by the establishment in order to scare people and deter them from engaging in peaceful protests here.
And here we are here on the very front line, So if you can just see in the distance here, with hundreds of RUC officers, PSNI officers, and they look pretty. They're ready for business anyway, so they're. And there seems to be a move happening here by some of the protesters. We're going to have a wee bit of a. If we just go over here, we're going to see a bit of a. There's going to be a bit of a standoff here. Right, we're going to go on and over the front lines now.
Just breach the fence. Don't cut yourselves coming up here.
We're going past the front line now. We're just going up to the very edge here. This could get sticky. The RUC are informing them that it's an excluded area that we're in now at the minute. If these boys go to batting charge, get ready to run. Ironically now there seems to be as many journalists as there is protesters in the field. Protesters? Mentalists. Yes, about 50 protesters and 500 journalists have just made their way into this field. Again, peaceful enough, no rocks being thrown, and as you can see the field was just ploughed, so there's plenty of rocks there.
Comrades and friends, I've been around for a few years, but I don't think I've ever seen so many policemen and policewomen gathered together in the one place at the one time. You have to wonder how many nurses could be employed for a year with the amount of money that's being spent bringing in 3,500 plates from across the water, paying them overtime, putting them up, feeding and watering them. How many millions of pounds has been spent on this, and for what? To keep us in order. I've never seen a more colourful, more friendly and more positive sight than all of us standing around here today. We are here not in a negative way. People have asked us, what are you protesting against? Question is, what are we for? We are in a positive frame of mind. We are proclaiming a brighter vision for the world and for our little patch of the world that is represented by the G8. We say there are alternatives. We don't have to accept what they say. There are alternatives to the arms race. There are alternatives to pouring weapons into all sides in the Syrian conflagration. There are alternatives to the United States arming the Israeli Defense Forces to the teeth in order to continue the persecution of the Palestinian people. The alternative to that is to recognize the national and human rights of the Palestinian people. That is what we are calling for. It's a positive, constructive thing. There are alternatives to the policies of austerity represented by Mr. Cameron and Mrs. Merkel and the rest of them. The alternative is to take the money from the billionaire class who have robbed it from the people of the world, and they put it into the services that people deserve. They put it into defending the public sector and public sector jobs which are being destroyed by Westminster and by Stormont. That is our positive alternative to the austerity programme represented by the G8. There are alternatives to fracking and to poisoning and ruining the earth. and that is to respect the earth. That is to move towards a situation where we handle the ecology, where we revere the earth beneath us and the sky and the air around us. These are positive alternatives that we are representing here today. They are alternatives to everything that the GA represents. They say that we are negative. We are not negative. They are negative. It is they who have to have 7,000 armed personnel to surround them in this ring of steel in order to protect them from ordinary people, in order to protect them from the likes of us. What a farce! If Matt Baggett and the PSNI really believed that there was going to be a dangerous gathering here today, then their intelligence is so pathetic that they shouldn't be left out on their own. They may think that they are the masters of the earth. They may think as they pour billions into arms and means of killing people that should be put in to the services that keep people alive and save our national health service and save our educational system. They may think that we have no alternative. I can say this, they represent destruction. They represent everything that's negative about human society. Well, the G8 may well want to blast and ruin the earth before they leave the stage of history. But we carry a new world in our hearts, and the ordinary people of this earth will build that world, a shining world, in contrast to the darkness and the shadows represented by the G8. What we have to do is to go away from here, reinvigorated and more determined than ever to defend the earth, defend the public service, stop the arms trade, release the prisoners in Guantanamo Bay. The Guantanamo Bay incident, we know a bit about internment without trial in this country. We know a bit about hunger strikes and forced feeding. I see Kate and Linda Nash over there from the Bloody Sunday families. The Bloody Sunday March was a march against internment. And still all these years later, we have internment in Guantanamo Bay. We have internment presided over by Barack Obama, who this morning patronised people in Belfast in a way that I found squirmingly embarrassing. And yet they sat there, ministers in the Stormont executive, and applauded this ox-tongued obeisance towards Barack Obama. Shames us all. Barack Obama is the biggest disappointment in history since Judas did the dirty on Jesus Christ. We should say that, remember. Let us go over there determined to build a new and better world. A world in which the powers represented by the G8 will be relegated to the outside when the ordinary plain people of the world at last inherit the earth that was given to them and given to us. Build a new world. Another world is possible. Another world is within our grasp. Down with the G8. Up with people.
Again here at the G8 Summit today, and I'm honoured to be speaking to one of the fathers of Irish socialism at the present moment, Eamon McCann. You're opposing the G8 Summit here today. Why are you opposing it?
Well, we're opposing the G8 Summit, and more importantly than that, perhaps trying to offer a positive alternative to what the G8 represents. And what we're saying really is that, we live in a world where there's social and political turmoil, where there's violence, not just in the Middle East and in Turkey, but incipient violence everywhere. I think we're facing into, and I think that everybody accepts this, a period of deep turmoil politically and socially across Europe as a result of the economic and financial crisis. And in that situation, sort of, it's very necessary that people stand up. They don't despair, and that people try to see sort of what positively can be done. And a lot of campaigns represented here, environmental campaigns like fracking, but also, trade union speakers from that platform, from Unite and from Unison, people representing public service workers, with the public sectors under attack with wage freezes and job losses and all the rest of it. And we look at the amount of money being poured into arms, literally trillions of dollars being spent on weapons of war, pouring into the Middle East, and both sides in the Syrian conflict now are being armed with whether it's by Russia or by the West. And there has to be an alternative to the disastrous course that the world is on. And when the G8 meets here, the masters of the universe, as they think, I think it's very important that a representative of ordinary people and people who want to organise for a better world, that we should come together too, just as they have come together in their own way to try and fight for something better and more positive.
The media seem to maintain that this would be a violent, edgy kind of a protest, but that hasn't happened. Your views on why the media would be portraying it like that?
Well, I don't know, perhaps just I'm a journalist myself, so I don't like to criticise my colleagues. I'm the representative of Northern Ireland on the National Executive of the NUJ. So I think that parts of the media were swept away by the propaganda, and the propaganda was hysterical. The propaganda from the PSNI was utterly ridiculous. For example, Matt Baggett said that he would expect 5,000 anarchists to come from Britain. I mean, I don't want to upset any of my anarchist friends, but I'm not sure there are 5,000 anarchists in Britain. And certainly, there's no sign whatsoever of a big influx of people intent on mayhem from across the water or from anywhere else. Absolutely no justification for that. No intelligence. Matt Baggett cannot have had any intelligence to justify the warnings that he put out. But they were dramatic warnings, and I suppose the media picked up on what's dramatic to say there's going to be a peaceful demonstration on the 17th of June in Fermanagh. There's not much news in that, but if you can begin to speculate about mayhem on the streets, and violence and people getting hurt and all the rest of it, that I suppose in the sad media world that we live in, that's a better story than saying that people are going to gather and peacefully demonstrate. So I'm sorry the way in which the media joined in the propaganda, but propaganda it was, and I hope demonstration isn't over yet, but I'm so far so good, and I'm hoping that the stories that come out of here will be positive.
And if you had the opportunity to speak to the G8, the leaders themselves, what would you say to them?
Well, I don't really I didn't come here to speak, to the G8 leaders. I wanted to offer an alternative and to speak to the people who are here and try to encourage people to go away from here and to stay organised and to stay focused on making the world a better place. But if the G8 leaders would listen to, very, very, very unlikely, listen to the likes of me, I'd try to say to them, look at the world around you, and look at the mess that it's in, look at the misery that so many millions of people live in, and surely you can see that there is a better way to organise this world.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCann.
Okay, man. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Good luck.
Right.
Thanks a lot, Eamon.
Yeah, no, nice.